For this portrait of Lincoln, I'm going to read you guys a passage out of Cennini's Craftsman's Handbook. This was a pre-Renaissance master who in the 1400s wrote a how-to guide on how to become an artist. And I'm quoting directly from that book, from his words, a technique on how to draw and paint. Okay, he says, when you draw, run your pencil over the panel so lightly that you can hardly make out what you first start to do. Okay, so he's saying draw so lightly that at first you can barely make out what you do. And he says strengthen your strokes little by little and go back many times to produce your shadows. And the darker you want to make the shadows and the accents, the more times you go back to them. So you see, rather than make it all the way dark in the very beginning, he says no, start off really lightly. And he says run the style over the panel so lightly that you can hardly make out what you first start to do. And strengthen your strokes little by little, going many times back to produce the shadows. Okay, and then he says with ink, you know, take as much water as a nutshell will hold and put 2 drops of ink in it and shade with the brush that is almost always dry. And so again, at first you can barely make out what your marks are, and then you slowly, little by little, strengthen your strokes, going back many times to produce the shadows. And the darker you want to make the shadows and the accents, the more times you go back to them. And that's basically how the very beginning sketch was done and how the latter ink drawing was done. You see, he says draw nicely and work up your lights, half lights and darks gradually, going back to them many times. So rewind and watch the video again. In this sketch in the very start, you see that my marks were really light. I got my proportions in place, then I made things darker. And then with the ink, you saw that again at the very start, my drawing was really light, and then gradually things got darker. All right, thanks for watching.